let's get started with chapter 14, melting into the pot. There is one more chapter after this, I believe, and then I'm going to make a separate video with my final thoughts. Chapter 14, melting into the pot. In the mid 1960s, Dr. Iga predicted how far will Sansei be being assimilated into the middle class. He thought the differences between Japanese Americans and Caucasians will help facilitate the assimilation, and he thought the third generation will return to traditional Japanese cultural interests. Now fast forward about 25 years later, it does appear that Dr. Iga's prediction has almost come true. They are taking steps toward assimilation. However, they're not rushing the process. Instead, they're thoughtfully reflecting on their own journey. So that leads to the next question: how assimilated are they? To begin, they see assimilation as a positive evolutionary step to become more mobile in a dominant society. And they feel less pressure to assimilate because there is less institutional discrimination and there's less prejudicial practices. Unlike, they went through the war, they got the clear message that they're not welcome in this country, so they have to do whatever it takes to assimilate. Whereas the third generation society is more accepting, more into, well, let's be bicultural rather than just completely eliminate Japanese culture and just completely assimilate into American culture. So they're also serving their community. They're using their education and talents in their communities, such as senior centers, community festivals, legal and political organizations, the arts, and so on. Miss Kawamura, for example, she was a law student at the time. She hopes to maintain and foster her Asian identity. American sociologist Dr. Milton Gordon said that there's 4 types of assimilation: cultural, structural, marital, and identification. And in terms of Japanese American, there's one more: it's family. So they did a survey. 60 survey forms were mailed to each recipient. 51 of them replied back. It contained questions, statements regarding their family, culture, identity, and work. There was also a space for open-ended responses and comments. They were only told that this was a study about their experience as a Japanese American woman. Now, of course, it's one thing if you actually have people go into your laboratory and they fill out the survey in front of you so that they can ask you questions for clarification. Now with mailing out the survey, there's a bias because they only mail out the survey toward working professional women. However, since 88% of Sansei women are college graduates, the results are actually close to what characterizes most Sansei women. And also, they did not mail surveys to a different group to compare the two, so they didn't do that. So there are limits to this study. You can't just generalize to the general population, for instance. But for Japanese American Sansei women, these results are typical. Attitudes toward traditional families. Respondents, they know what their mothers and grandmothers went through before them, especially the war. As a result, they feel the need to do the right thing. They do whatever they have to do well in school and follow the social rules. However, they prefer a more democratic household rather than a traditional Japanese family. Since they enjoyed more freedom and flexibility, this is reflected on how they raise their own children. This new family The survey did not discuss divorce. However, many respondents are aware of people in the community who are divorced. On the other hand, they said that they receive support from their new parents as well as receive child care services from them. Since they are a dual career family, they want to be with the children, but they also need to pursue their careers or they're forced to work because they need the income. Ms. Shimizu said that she took a 1 year maternity leave. She worked in the hospital's human resources management department. She's grateful that her husband works from home. So he is a participative parent who also shares in the diapers, changing diapers, washing diapers, doing dishes. Spousal abuse is a new phenomenon. However, the fact that San Francisco, for example, has an Asian women's shelter shows that this is a need in their community. Family concerns remain high, however, they need support from their own families as well as the government. Cultural identity, the Sansei keeps the Japanese tradition of gift giving. This includes funerals and weddings. This is a ritual of give and take. Although some say that takes the joy out of it because you're like, oh yeah, I had to give them a gift because they gave me a gift. Others see it as a way to maintain connections, staying connected with each other. When they're asked whether they feel more Japanese or more of a woman, most of the day are more conscious of being a woman than being Japanese. When they're with friends, they're more likely to talk about current events that rather than talking about being Japanese. Ms. Kawasaki said that she feels lucky being bicultural gives her more global perspective, which is also a global trend as well. Ms. Shimizu said that most of her friends growing up were white, so she wasn't in touch with her Japanese American culture until she attended college and participated in the Japanese American Citizens League. Instead, she grew up with a bumper sticker that says she survived Catholic school. Structural assimilation. This divided into the following measures: ethnicity or neighborhood, co-workers, two closest friends, and their favorite organizations. Most live in neighborhoods that are diverse. Most spend time with people who aren't Japanese American. However, most belong to Japanese American organizations. This suggests that they have not reached the highest political corporate levels, so they haven't achieved structural assimilation. For Ms. Imura, she had to work very hard for many years before she was taken seriously in the political legislative arena. As a physically smaller and younger looking woman, she was always treated as though she was a child. She had to be twice as good, and she had to be twice as tough to get ahead. When she got promoted to an Asian American liaison person for state senators, there was almost no other females in her office, let alone Asian American ones. So, Miss Takahashi is a municipal court judge. She started as a defense attorney, then she became further prosecutor, then she became district attorney's office. Finally, she got into a current position by the governor of the state of California. She credits her Japanese heritage for helping her advance. She credits the value of being respectful to other people, being thoughtful, placing a high value in education, and having her parents' support. Ms. Fukami is a news director for a major network affiliate in San Francisco. She feels fortunate. There are very few Asians in her industry, so she's highly visible. She's assertive, outspoken, extrovert. She cares about things passionately. Those are the opposite values of being Japanese. However, there's some Japanese values that she holds. She works hard to prove herself. She has a lot of pride, and her family is very important to her. As a result, Sansei women have a long way to go. Child rearing is more important. She's more likely to spend time with family. That's more significant. Marital assimilation. About 60% is an interracial marriage. Maybe 40% married another Japanese American, such as another Sansei. So why do Sansei women marry non-Japanese? Some are attracted to the more egalitarian role of white men. In sharp contrast, Japanese American males have a more male-dominant attitude regarding marriage. One respondent said that her white husband allows her to be Japanese, encourages her to be connected with her Japaneseness, he keeps tabs on the Japanese American community. He likes attending cultural events. He likes Japanese food, and he's learning how to cook it. Ms. Omi's first husband was white. Currently, she's married to a fellow sensei, and she said that her parents instantly accepted her second husband. Children of interracial marriage. After sensei married non-Japanese, social scientists started to become interested in interracial children. One study shows that they have the same level of self-esteem as those who are 100% Japanese American. However, they have a weaker sense of cultural identity. Overall, they're satisfied. One commented that she sees herself as double rather than half this, half that. The enigma of assimilation. Sensei are concerned about losing their Japanese American values. As a result, they're trying to preserve the Japanese culture. This is a sharp contrast. 1980s, there was a strong push toward acquiring material wealth and success. However, they've realized this is becoming the cost of forfeiting their cultural heritage. On the other hand, there's subtle racism and the belief that white is right. Instead, it's more favorable to value each culture and incorporate it into the American culture. So this way, rather than just melting into the pot. Couple of days, I will go over the last chapter, and then after that, my final thoughts. So let me know what you think, and I shall see you next time. Take care.